Hello folks. Well, what a performance that was. Bakhram Murtazaliev, I do apologise if I screwed that guy's name up. I've been practising it all day and it never sounds right when I say it. It's my accent, it's got to be my accent. Anyway, he retained his IBF Light-Middleweight, or Junior Middleweight, depending how you like to say it, championship against Tim Tszyu. Going into this fight, I gave Tim Tszyu a bit of a chance. The only other time I'd seen Bakhram fight was earlier in the year when he won the vacant title by beating Jack Colkay. And I wasn't overly impressed with him, don't get me wrong, he won it well enough, but I wasn't that impressed, so I thought, well, Tim Tszyu will be wanting to make a statement, because obviously he lost a tough fight against Sebastian Fundora back in March. I thought this would be a decent enough way to get back into it. Now, I didn't think it was cut and dried for Tszyu to win, but I thought, it'll be a good competitive fight and, might get some fireworks. First round, Tszyu was doing what he does. He was landing the right hand quite nicely. He was working the body. But so was Bakhram Murtazaliev. He was really, really firing back. And nothing Tszyu actually landed seemed to bother him that much. I thought, this is going to be an interesting fight. And then in the second round, a perfect left hook from Bakhram put Tszyu on his arse. Tszyu, he looked stunned. He got up, and a bit later he took a right hand and another left, and he went down again. And then towards the end of the round, he took some punishment after that. He did well to stay on his feet as long as he did. Actually, he was taking some nasty punches. He was hurt. He was holding on. He was trying to survive, and Bakhram was just bashing him with lefts and rights. It was a final clubbing right at the end. I think there was 7 seconds left in the second that put him down. And I expected the referee to wave it off then, because he looked awful. Tim Tszyu looked all at sea. He went back to his corner. As soon as the third started, timeout was called. The doctor was having a look at Tim Tszyu. He was really having a close look at him. And I thought, well, if the doctor's not happy, if somebody's not happy with this will get stopped. But they let it go. He was put down again, and the referee, when he got up, he got up a bit too quick. He did look up. His eyes looked clear, but you could see he wasn't right. I would have liked to have seen it stopped then. The referee said, you go down one more time. This is it. And he took a bit of a pasting, and in the end, the corner threw the towel in. Now, the corner should have thrown the towel in earlier, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, of course. Tim Tszyu took a terrible beating in there, in quite a short space of time. I don't know where he goes from here. I'm not saying he should quit and retire. He's only 29. But Bakhram Murtazaliev is... he's a fucking beast. I mean, they breed them something different in the Eastern European countries. Russia, Ukraine, all those kind of countries. They really, really do breed them differently. I mean, they're just hard cases. And this guy, you can see why Charlo avoided him, because he was Charlo's IBF mandatory for a long time. Charlo clearly didn't want any part of him. He took step-aside money a couple of times. And, you can clearly see why Charlo wanted no part of this guy. The guy's a monster. He's a beast. I can't see too many people lining up to fight him now, to be perfectly honest. Not after that display absolutely destroying Tim Tszyu. I've seen a few bits online. George Kambosis and people like that have taken great pleasure in Tim Tszyu's downfall. Apparently, it's all to do with the media in Australia. Obviously, I'm not an Australian citizen. I don't live there, so I don't know. But from what bits of research I've done this morning, Tim Tszyu gets a hell of a lot of attention from the media. I mean, obviously he's Kostya Tszyu's son. Now, Kostya Tszyu, one of my favourite fighters of all time. I really idolised him and enjoyed him when he was fighting. So I kind of get it. He's a national treasure, and although he's not Australian born, he was an Australian citizen. He's been there for a long time, and brought a lot of eyes to boxing in Australia. And now, obviously, being the son of a legend, it's natural these things are going to happen. And a lot, apparently, the media tends to ignore guys like Jai Opataya and Liam Parrow, people like that, So I understand where people are coming from, but I don't like this whole kicking the guy when he's down. He's just taken a serious beating. I saw an interview with him a bit later on, and he didn't really seem to know where he was. I think there may be a concussion there. He was devastated. I mean, he held his hands up and he congratulated Murtazaliev, but he looked pretty distraught and not quite with it. So very sad to see anybody end up like that. But this 154 pound division is fucking brilliant. Obviously you've got Crawford's the WBA. Now I'd like to see this guy in with Crawford. That would be a good fight, quite entertaining fight. And then you've got Fundura's got the WBC and WBO titles. So any of those guys fighting each other, I'd like to see all the belts unified. I think Crawford could do it. But yeah, that would be an interesting fight. Or even Bakhram against Israel Madrimov. That would be a good fight down the line. So, possibilities are endless for how this division can go. So, no, very entertaining fight for as long as it lasted. And a great performance. Also, speaking of the IBF, the vacant IBF title was on the line in Germany. Obviously, Canelo Alvarez was stripped, and William Skull took a very boring, dull, unanimous decision over Vladimir Shishkin in Germany. I must admit, I dozed off a couple of times during this fight. It was a bit too tactical for me. The last round was entertaining. Shishkin really went for it. The scores are 116, 113, 116, 112, 115, 113, all for Skull. Yeah, just a bit of a dreary performance, really, in my opinion. Just a dreary fight. If you excuse me, I think I've got a fucking cold coming. I do apologise for the sniffing. But yeah, it was good. It's just one of those things. It happened. I didn't bother scoring it, to be honest, because I drifted off a couple of times during the fight. Yeah, it is. Well, I've seen a few people online saying that it was a robbery and Shishkin deserved it. But hey, I've heard that fucking word at least every weekend for the last few years. So, the word robbery's lost all meaning now. So, yeah, it is what it is. So, yeah, that was it. That was it for the world title action. I saw some of the boxer card at the Copper Box yesterday. That was quite entertaining. Anthony Yarde's returned to the ring, his first fight under the boxer banner. He didn't look particularly good, in my opinion. He looked, he dropped the guy. The guy's name has left me. I forget him. Latvian gentleman, and he just made it hard work for himself. He got the win, he got the decision, but Yarde much made it hard work for himself. He took too many punches in there. Adam Azim knocked out O'Hara Davis. O'Hara Davis had nothing in the whole fight, and he's now announced his retirement. Good win for Azim, but yeah, it wasn't that great, to be honest. It's very one-sided. Yeah, it was just one of those things, really. But yeah, so there you go. That's it for me. I've got a few things to do. I've just made this one a quick one. I hope you're all well. Take care, folks. I'll speak to you soon. I love you all.